I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act of conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting room facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording processes is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenters shall approach the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilkin.
Here.
Kaler. Here. Tanyas. Colterman.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
Singleton. Streisand.
Here.
Wergen.
Here.
All right, first 6 items this evening make up the consent agenda.
I'll move the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your vote.
Morgan and Streisand.
We're gonna need to turn off.
Oh, right. She's not voting.
Please display the votes.
Voting in favor: Wilkin, Kaler, Colterman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
All right. First administrative item is consideration of a claim from Trevor Pierce, 1688 Carroll K Boulevard for personal injury in the amount of $294.66. Greg.
Yeah, you have the claim information included in there. Relatively small amount, well below our deductible. Trevor had been walking along Carroll K, kind of near where the new culvert was installed. There was a manhole lid there that must have been off-seated in some way, to our knowledge we know about. Nevertheless, Mr. Pierce stepped on it, and when he stepped on the manhole, it tipped up, and he went leg first into it. So he was requesting his out-of-pocket expenses. Initially, we had discussion on this one, but there is a subrogation agreement on this one that was signed, and at the request of council, Kelly said that we should forward this on to our insurance provider. So that's what we're gonna do, or at least recommend.
Any questions or comments from the council? I entertain a motion.
I'll move that we move this on to the insurance, just for the recording process.
Second.
Moved by Wergen, second by Streisand.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor: Wilkin, Kaler, Colterman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
All right. Item 2, consideration of an agreement with Bees Sweet Freeze LLC to operate a concession stand at the Dowding Municipal Pool for the 2024 season and beyond.
Yes, this agreement was originally drafted. This is our current provider of concession stand treats down at the Dowding Pool. They've done a good job. Megan Boggs, one of our dear friends and employers, we worked at the library for many years, still operates this, and so we've done it every year. So this time we added a additional language in there that just says it rolls at this rate until we choose otherwise. Otherwise, we have to bring it back every single year. So if somebody thinks we need to adjust or anything else, we can do so. But they do a good job and don't get any complaints. So we would recommend approval for another year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Streisand, second by Kaler.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor: Wilkin, Kaler, Colterman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
Okay. Item number 3, utility reconnect fees. Greg?
One of the fees that we noticed when we had started the process that we've been going on for about 6 months now of doing a master fee resolution was the electric service reconnect fees. These are the fees charged at the point that someone has gone through, they're bill was become delinquent, and now they've not paid, and we've actually shut off service. We have two fees associated with that. One is a fee to reestablish electric service during regular work hours, and another one was to reestablish electric service outside of the regular operating hours of the electric department. Previously, that fee, I believe, was $65 and $25. We had noted in meeting with the Personnel Finance and Audit Committee that the $65, the average cost for us outside of work hours to have an electric employee would range between $135 and $150 to have them go out and do that. Because we are paying 2 hours of overtime per their employment agreement, our handbook, because that's a call out. So they could call at 2 in the morning, and technically we would go out and turn the electricity back on. Backstepping that, the process outside is, outside of regular working hours, they go to the police department, they contact dispatch, dispatch will dispatch an officer if there's not one already at the police department. They'll go meet them, they'll take payment. Payment has to be in the form of a cashier's check or cash at that point. They pay the fees that are required. They call out to dispatch, dispatch calls out to whoever on call person is on, and then the electric employee goes out and turns it back on. That was the normal process. Now, with our new meters, as you know, almost all the meters, especially residential ones, will be able to be turned on and off online through a secure portal system. We've trained up the nighttime shift, and they're able to operate that system. And so we've eliminated that, but again, now we have the cost. That's literally the reason we bought this system, was to ease the on and off situation and not have to pay employees for 2 hours of overtime, disrupt their evenings for what essentially works out to sometimes 15 minutes of work, but we have to pay 2 hours. So we equated that we wanted to establish a fee that was more on point with what our costs are for calling in the PD, calling dispatch, calling out electric. We still may have to verify. If they don't get a continuing verify that it turned on, then we have to dispatch electric out anyways to verify it or check the meter. And so the recommendation of the Personnel Finance Audit Committee was to adjust that fee up to $100, not to the full extent of what we think our costs are, but at least $100. The other thing is we really want to incentivize people to do it during regular hours. It's the safest, most efficient, and we can still deal with issues in a timely manner with multiple crew members available during regular business hours. And so they actually reduced the disconnect fee during regular hours to try and incentivize people to use the opportunity to have their reconnect done during hours. You can call in, you can use a credit card, and so it's not like you just have to come into the office. The only thing we won't take is a check at that point. And so the recommendation by Personnel Finance to reduce that to 20 and raise the outside business hours to $100 and try to move that a little bit closer to our actual costs. Can answer any questions you have.
This is 3A that you're
Yep.
discussing at this time.
So we would move this resolution first.
So, yeah, so any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd ask someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll choose to introduce the resolution.
The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2024-9. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Miller, second by Streisand.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Colterman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
Okay. Item 3B, consideration of a resolution to establish a water service reconnect.
In doing this, we also noticed that we actually didn't have a designated fee at all for the reestablishment of water service. It happens incredibly rarely. We do not turn off water service for a disconnect notice. It's usually at the request of the property owner. The property might be in disrepair. The property may go into a winter hold where they're like, we're not gonna be home, we want the water shut off, whatever it may be. And so just the same, we reconfirmed the cost. The one thing that we did note is even during operating hours, the time it takes is significant for someone to go out and locate the localized shut off in the yard and turn that back on. And so we set that fee at $30, and then the outside business one would be almost exactly the same issue, 2 hours overtime, dispatched from, and the police department can't turn it on or off, so we have to send out a water utility worker to turn that on or off during the outside hours. And so we recommended the two fees we have here. Technically, we never had a specific fee passed on this one that we knew of, so we wanted to establish that.
Any questions or comments from the council? Or would someone like to introduce that resolution?
I'll introduce the resolution.
All right. The resolution has been introduced. It is designated as resolution number 2024-10. Would anyone like to move this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Moved by Streisand, second by Kaler.
The motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Coltman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
All right, thank you. Item 4, consideration of a resolution to establish a policy for insufficient payment processing and reconnection process.
Yeah, we've had on the books a policy in regards to kind of informal, and again, we've tried to be more formal about putting these things in front of the council and making recommendations, so we have something that we can track and then go back and make sure we cover. But the insufficient payment process is and the reconnect policy is related to the two items you kind of talked about. The insufficient payment one was how we process and what we will take when we go to process your payment and we get back the insufficient funds response. And then we're making calls, we're trying to track you down, see if we can get the proper payment. We won't take check for usually ones that we've had an issue with in regards to checks bouncing and things like that. And so we try to work with them. The utility billing office is very diligent in that. But we want to get that in writing. I don't think anything's changed from our standard procedures. The $35 usually is charged to us, and so that return check fee is passed on. And that's kind of it. So.
Any questions or comments for Greg? If not, I'd ask someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution.
All right. The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2024-11. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Colterman, seconded by Streisand. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Coltman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
All right, thank you. Item 5, consideration of an amendment to extend the contract with Southeast Nebraska Economic Development District, SEND, for CDBG 21 DTR 011. Greg.
Yep, this is our current downtown revitalization. We've had a number of vendors that we haven't been able to get on site to finish out the few projects we have left. Windows is probably the hardest one for us. And so we just want to close out the remaining few and extend our contract with DED just to make sure that we're in compliance. Get those closed out, close out the grant entirely, and then move on to our next phases. As we've talked about before, we may look at doing an amendment to our downtown revitalization plan and then reapply for whatever that directs us. Me and Jonathan will probably lead those projects up as we continue to move through it. But this will extend us out and finish out our projects with enough sufficient time. I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions or comments from the council? Always ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Streisand, second by Coltman.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Coltman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
All right, thank you. Item 6, update on the Wellness Center. Greg or Joel.
Good evening, everyone. Well, in a matter of 3 days last week, all the precast walls for the natatorium arrived and were installed. And we got to take a walking tour before our construction meeting on Wednesday, all through that. Whether it was an impressive process to see those slabs brought in and the crane work. It was good. We saw some middle school students and having a watch as well. But so that was a lot of good progress. Got to walk around. You really get a good idea of the size of the whole facility now that parts are being added to it. What you'll see going forward is work will continue on the natatorium area. The roof joists are already there. That will start happening soon, along with some structural steel in place for phase D, which is the classroom area. And on the west side of the precast panels, you might be able to see it's a different color stone, and that is where the building is going to basically butt up to it, is where the steel will be and the classroom area will be. But that will get started here pretty soon. Along with the parking lot should be starting here in the next week or so, and so really get a good idea even more of how big the whole area will be. And so the parking lot will get poured, and Thursday, the bidding process for paving the boulevard will be completed. So we're hoping to see next Wednesday if they can get enough finalized bids that are complete, what that looks like. That is one of the final costs that we have an allotment for, that we feel good about. We just don't know what that cost exactly will be. We're hoping it comes, like the other things, comes in significantly under what we were allotting for, but we'll find out. We're optimistic on that, but a lot of progress, and that will continue to go because April 1st is when they will start doing some of the roofing on the natatorium, and then the opening on the south end, that is where they'll bring equipment in and out, where they'll dig out the pool and bring out the dirt, and so that will be a fun process to watch as well. So hopefully at some point we can get some different tours set up for some special groups that can to see that. I think this group, that would be a great thing for you guys to see that, because it's definitely impressive when you get in it. Any questions?
Yes, Rich?
Joel, can you review with us, what was the reasoning for putting the walls up and then going in and digging the pool out? What was the thought?
That's the way they
That's
do
the
it.
process
Yes,
they
that
use.
is the process. That was it. It really wasn't even given to us as an option. Like,
Yeah.
you want to do it. This is the way we do it. And it was, the experts told us that's
what you
how
do.
they're going to do it. So
Okay. Thank
But it seemed odd to me at first. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
But that is. I don't know if you remember from the beginning of the process if there's anything different.
I can only think they just want to avoid weather once it gets started.
Yeah.
For all
Do
the
it all.
piping and facilities that they'll put in, and when they apply, they're gonna do a shotcrete.
Mhm.
So they're gonna be, it's a spray-on system for concrete that is actually stronger, has better strength, which was kind of an amendment that we just added at the end here.
Good.
Because the sub that will be doing the pool stuff was able to do it, most people can't. It's actually a higher end element, and so we'll do that, but, yeah, that's why there's the hole in the south side, so
Yeah.
people aren't freaked out that we ran out of money and we couldn't afford the last piece.
Couldn't afford them all.
That isn't what happened.
You never know what will come
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, you never know what people will
Never
say,
know.
but,
It was never a concern.
Yeah.
This is just the way that the contractors want to do it
Yeah.
at the beginning, so.
Makes sense.
I think one of the impressive ones, and I commend Joel for all his work on it, also Shane Bach with Changing the Game and Dave Cum, they're our primary, along with myself, we're our primary group that meets bi-weekly with the Sampson team and does all of the construction work on this one. I think the biggest thing that we recognized is being able to be inside of it already, you get a way better sense of scale. You can look at all the 2D drawings you want, you can look at all the shop drawings, and you can look at all the renderings, but it doesn't give you the real sense of, is this a cavernous space or is this a expansive space that will be free and let you experience some fun in it. And so it's, especially the gymnasium is very sizable. You get in there and you can see the pictures of me and Shane in there. We're pretty tiny, but I'm sure we'll fill in. There'll be other things that go there, but it matched our expectations or exceeded them from what we designed in 2D. So.
Any other questions or comments from the council? If not, thanks for all your work,
Thank you,
Joel. Next, we have the city administrator's report.
I've kind of moved into project mode with the changing of the weather and getting ready for spring. This is the busiest, I think, and Mike, you can back me up on this, or Mayor, or any other of the senior members of the council. This might be the busiest we've ever been in recent memory. We have the water tower project going up, we have the 6th Street water main going on. Behind us is actually Black Hills Energy preparing for the 6th Street Highway 15 replacement. So you see another contractor moving their utility lines. We're re-upped on Park Avenue in preparation of the stormwater. Bradford Street will start kicking back off again and getting itself ready. Highway 15 project will start on April 1st. We just had the public meeting that numerous people in this room were at. Great turnout, great questions, and there's going to be a bit of growing pains trying to get through this project, but hopefully the community will hang with us and appreciates all the work that NDOT did on this, and constructors, which is the main contractor on this. They have a really good plan that they're going to execute. They're going to try and finish that project within a 1-year period, at least for concrete, so that we have all the driving stuff taken care of. There may be some follow-up in the spring for yards and some of those things. One of the things that did come up tonight was a few people inquired if they would have to pay for their sidewalks when they got ripped out. No, there's no requirements on any of the landowners along the project to replace their sidewalks, or if the sidewalks are getting bigger or anything else. So the only requirement is the $80,000 we're committed to for the project, and basically the other $10 million is being paid by the state, which is a great benefit to Seward and the Seward tax base.
How many people were at the meeting?
Oh, I couldn't guess. I'd guess 200 plus, easy, in and out over 2 hours. So, a lot of NDOT personnel and experts in their different divisions and stuff were there as well to answer questions, and I answered a lot of questions and stuff, so it was a good turnout and a good conversation to get people ready to go. But again, April 1st, that gets started. So, in addition to that, obviously we have the Wellness Center. Isaac Walton Road will open up completely if it hasn't already. It should be very shortly, the next week or two.
Next week.
Yep, they're gonna get that striped, hopefully,
Friday, striping before the
and
bad
get
weather.
going. We continue with the design work and some very deep ideas in the rail campus that will keep us busy throughout the summer. And so we'll be continuing on through those. Design of Hillcrest over by the bridge work will get done. We're still chasing the trail project down and finishing that out. So there are things going on everywhere and plenty of stuff for us to keep ourselves busy, which it does, which it makes it sometimes hard to get into some other things. But that is eating a predominant portion of our time between me and Mike and even Tim and some others. So we'll continue to work through those things. Other than that, I think we have some good news that Jonathan will report on that relates to economic development and work we've been doing in the city of Seward. We had a number of LB 840 and CAR meetings on TIF and things like that that have also kept us on our toes. And we're going into budget season, so I'm getting Sydney kind of geared up and ready to go on the budget and monitoring her progress on that. Mindy's helping me on comparability, so we're very busy with that as well. So this is going to be a very busy season with a lot of things going on in a lot of directions. So we'll try to keep our focus and keep things moving, but we can be a little delayed in getting back to people and other things, so we apologize if we are. We're just going in a lot of directions. If anybody has any questions about anything else that's in the report, I can answer that. I will remind you, I mean, again, amongst all this other stuff, I'm leaving on Thursday to go to Grand Island to go meet with NPPD, customer meetings, negotiations, contracts are coming up with all the stuff they're doing, and that's a Herculean effort in and of itself. So there's just numerous things. I couldn't even name them all. I've tried to list as many as I can, as you can see. I think this is my longer, usually these don't make it to 3 pages, so lots of stuff. But I can answer any questions you have.
I'd just like to add one thing. I've been watching as the water main progressed up through 6th Street from Ash all the way up to downtown, and our city crews, and as well as the street crew, is working side by side with those folks to make sure everything is going well. And we had a really big joint effort at the bottom of the hill at Ash Street, where they were all working together and had all their equipment running and hooking up all those water hydrants in addition to the others, what they're called, the lateral hookups, and they made quick work of that, and I was very, very impressed with that.
When you're working in 100-year-old maybe a
Yes.
little less than that, utilities. There's not a bunch of plans as built that are accurate in any way, shape, or form sitting around somewhere. So some of it is, we're gonna dig down in this area, we're gonna find out what's there.
Yeah.
Because we know there's something connected to something doing something here, and it's approximately this size. We don't know exactly how deep it is, we don't actually know how big it is. And then it looks like a giant asteroid hit in its crater. But we worked through the problems. I know that Brandon Cole, commending him on his work with it, and he specifically called out Gary Yarnashek in the water department as well for coming up with solutions to quickly rectify that situation. And so we continue to remind the department heads to give kudos to those employees that do that extra work or come up with that extra plan to try and tackle that stuff. We can't do it alone, and we can't do it in a vacuum. So kudos to both of those guys.
So having said that, I move to approve the administrator's report.
Second.
Moved by Workman, second by Streisand.
Alright, we have a motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Coltman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
Alright, future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none, we'll move on to the announcement of upcoming events. Welcome, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Good evening, council. The good news to share, as Greg alluded to, the city of Seward has been selected as the Nebraska Department of Economic Development's Showcase Community of the Year for the entire state. It's a really big deal. The governor will be coming to see us, and Director Baylitz from the department on April 2nd will be at the National Guard Museum to accept that award, and there'll be a program reception associated with that. I sent you all and all department heads invites to that through the calendar invite, so please let me know if you haven't seen that, but there is a specific invitation. But we really would appreciate you all coming and celebrating with us. As our office put that application together, it was a great team effort to put that together. There's so much to celebrate. The city, as Greg alluded to, so many great projects going on. We actually, for the showcase, reflected on the past 5 years of our work, not just in the community, but the schools, between public schools, Concordia, St. John, St. Vincent. Also reflecting on, obviously, our private sector. Business development has been tremendous. There's so much to celebrate here. We're very fortunate for the great public-private partnerships that we have, and that was noticed and reflected and is being honored on the 2nd from the governor and from the department. So we're excited to celebrate. We'd love to have you be a part of that, and grateful to Jerry and his team at the Guard Museum for hosting us. Let's see, next, that same day actually, they have a business after hours with the Visitors Bureau, so we'd welcome you to come back to the museum if you'd like at 4 o'clock to join us there. And then quick reminder that we have the tire collection event in partnership with the county. That's going to be the 19th and the 20th. We're anticipating collecting 350 tons of tires, so don't let us down here. And I got a grant and great partnership with the county to work on that. And then that also will coincide on Saturday the 20th. Appreciate our partnership with the city to do our annual cleanup day. And so that'll be at the City Horseshoe facility. We'll have more marketing materials coming out here soon. Reminder that we're not doing hazardous waste collection. We only get to do that every other year with the grant. So with that, happy to answer any questions, but thanks, Mayor.
You bet. With that, we'll move on to strategy session.
All right, I move that the city council go into closed session with the mayor, city administrator, and city attorney for the protection of the public interest and to discuss litigation strategy and to provide city attorney with negotiation guidance for a period not to exceed 45 minutes.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll move.
Second.
Well, he
That was
moved.
the motion.
Okay,
Bill
second.
We're
So moved by Miller, second by Wergen.
Second.
Please register your votes.
I second your
Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Coltman, Miller, Streisand, Wergen.
Alright, the council has voted to go into closed session at 7:30 p.m. for the protection of the public interest and to discuss litigation strategy and to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance. No formal action will be taken. We are in closed session.